times. There we go. Oops. There we go. That, when it's clamped, is going to fit tightly. You know, it's this that I'm looking at, and I can't see it over here because of that flap, but you know, it's pretty good. These look pretty good along the top, so
yeah,
I'm going to call that together.
Yeah.
Now we need an end piece for it, and we made one, but the one we made was already planed, and I don't know if I want to put it on there because it's already been cut and planed.
So it's not going to match up.
And I'd rather have one that isn't planed, so it's thick, and then I get to plane them off. But I've got some here that I marked out. I can buzz one out in about half a second.
Okay.
Somewhere here there's a hunk of wood. This is a scrap of this big board that we cut one of the significant pieces off yesterday, and looking at it, you know, it's got bad places here, and I judged that maybe it would be better to take these little pieces out of it and get the big pieces out of another section of the board, you know, trying to use it as economically as I can. I'm going to cut around that, and I believe, looking at it, that cutting around it here is also going to leave it out on the other side. This knot, don't know where it goes, but it's pretty tight. It may be acceptable. Maybe we can leave it there. Maybe we can plane it off at the top. You know, it's all a puzzle until it's been sawn into. But these are the guys that'll be rough sawn out, and then I'll go over there and get finger jointed and then stuck together to make the third little tail piece, the piece that always breaks off in the old ones.
Okay.
Some news. I think we got it this time. That's tight. These aren't too bad. There's some little spaces, but you know, if you look at it like that, it could be worse.
No, we're good.
Glue space, I would call it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd call it as close as I'm going to get it. Now maybe some of the studio audience can do better. I can't. So next, we do a press together thing. It'd be a lot easier to press together if they were square. Press together. Put it all together. Make sure I'm going to be able to get the piece out of it without scraping edges here. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. That's going to be okay. That's going to be okay.
So you're constantly checking this to your original.
Checking it against the pattern just to make sure that there's some wood hanging over.
Yeah.
Because when we mill it, it's going to come right down to the pattern size, and because these joints are, you know, the way they are, one wants to be sure that we're going to be able to actually get a piece that we can use out of it, and I think that's going to be the case here. A little bit of twitching. Yeah, I think so. So what I do usually is redraw it so I have 15 lines instead of just 14 lines. And then more critically than that, I mark across like this, which gives me the glue alignment. So when those are back together, and of course I do 2 marks here and 3 marks here, because otherwise this piece ends up stuck on here. Well, you know.
And this is just either a left or right side.
This is at this point it's you know, ambidextrous. It can be either side, because the side gets determined when the fine milling starts. But it's a blank that'll make either side, and we may make some judgments about that if there are flaws in the wood or something. May make some judgments later on about which side it ought to be. But basically, it's not make much difference. But with this one, I think this makes 3 of these, and we got pieces cut out for a couple more. So, you know, that could be worse, right?
Yeah. And so this one you have here is one that you've glued, and
I've glued, and I put it in the primary jigs, and it's cut to the shape of this. You know, this will lap right over it, just tightly.
Yeah.
So it's that shape. Now it'll need I think it's 6 passes through the shaper that cut all the various molded sides of it.
Yeah.
And that's 6 different setups.
So that'll be to get it to...
That'll be to get it so it looks like this, with these grooves and this round over and this groove here and this groove and this little groove along here. So there's a bunch of millwork left to be done on it, but it's not, you know, it's not anything but routine, because it'll be clamped in a jig and buzzed through. I mean, it's not.
So once you have your 6, because you're going to make an extra complete, then you'll set one of the jigs up, and you and there's a certain you do.
Yep. First cut is this little round over.
Yeah.
And so I'll do this little round over on all of them.
All 6.
And not only all of these guys, but all of the ones that have new tails, because they're going to have the same complicated moldings on the ends. So they'll go in the jig.
So that would be like one of those pieces there.
Yep. These guys will all go through at the same time.
Yep.
Because they'll have the same issues with needing a round over here, cut out there. It's just it'll only be working on the ends.
Yeah. And so that's going to be on, because there were 12 complete windows.
Right. So there are 10 with tails.
Yeah.
And there'll be 4 new ones, because I want to make 2 extra.
Yeah.
Because we may end up rejecting 1 or more of these for some reason or other, or as I say, bad things can happen in the last milling, and I wouldn't want to have only 4 pieces, and it digs into it and throws it around, and you know, now I'm making a new one from scratch, trying to remember what I did. It's easier. So there will be, oddly, it'll be days of mass production,
right?
You know, where these things will be put in the jig and shape, put in the jig and shape, put in the jig and shape,
right.
And they'll be coming off in a pile on something that looks a little like a factory and less like somebody shoeing a horse.